Okay, here we go with the video directions for Tableau Assignment 2. I just double-clicked and brought up Tableau, the Tableau desktop application. And notice right here, and I talk about this in part 2 of the assignment, but so here are these saved data sources. So there's 3 of them. There's a Superstore, which is in the European Union. There's a sample Superstore, which is US based, also the world actually. And then there's this thing called World Indicators. And that's the saved data source, which is embedded into Tableau Desktop that we're going to do for this assignment, Tableau Assignment 2. So let me double click. Okay, here we go. So we're presented with this. Notice we got this thing, World Indicators here, and I'm going to, let me just show you this to begin with. So, to get it, this is a geocode essentially, and I'm just going to put this here. Notice what popped up. So this is really what this is simply just picture of the world, obviously, and it has all the countries in here that's in this database, which is right here, view data. This is essentially it could be an Excel file, could be Access, could be whatever, but it has all these data points for all the countries. All right, so let me talk about how to actually make this bubbles. We talked about bubbles and discussions. Let's just talk about, so all of them are the same, right? So how do we make the US bigger, or in relation, how do we make these smaller ones smaller, or how do we make it related to population? So I'm just going to put that in, show you that. That was as simple as that. I brought population total, I put it on this thing called size, which is essentially the bubble chart. And notice the biggest countries in the world by population, China, India, Russia, big, United States, here we go. There it is, and all these really small ones. That's how you get a bubble chart. So that's just kind of an FYI. All right, and notice how I use this thing, show me. So I'm going to get rid of it. I just wanted to show that as kind of an aside here. So let me get rid of it. Let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of that. And now let's do what our task at hand. Step 3 of the assignment, Tableau Assignment 2, is we're trying to find what's called a direct relationship, meaning as one goes up, so does the other. One what? One measure. As one measure goes up, so does the other. All right. So for that, and if you look at this step 2 of the assignment, I have this highlighted, this right here. I talked about the world indicators, and I also copied this graphic, which is a scatter plot. And notice when I hit this, what it's required. That's the same thing for all of them. It tells you which one you needed. There's that. So as you hover over these, and there's 24 of them, as you hover over them, it tells you what's needed from a dimension and measure perspective. So this one says 0 or more dimensions and 2 to 4 measures. 2 to 4 measures. Okay. Well, I'm really interested in measures initially. So I want to see if there's a direct relationship between health expenditures, right here, percentage GDP, and life expectancy male for, I'm going to say country as a dimension. Okay, let's bring it out. I like to start with measures, so I'm going to bring it out here. I'm going to go, all right, let's go health expenditures. I'm going to put this on the column, which translates into the x-axis. And those of you who had the algebra recently, if not, maybe some of this will jog back. Now I'm going to go life expectancy male. This translates into what's called the y-axis over here. There we go. All right, and so let's just say that I'm going to put country in there. It's a bit confusing, right? I could just do this. I could filter it. I could say all. Okay, so I have country in there, and I selected all of them. All of them for all countries. So, all right, so this kind of, what it did is it aggregated what? Aggregated the underlying data, which is here, view data. This world indicators, notice data set, and here's It could be again, this could be Access Table or Excel or any other thing that Tableau will grab onto. And here's the underlying data that it's aggregating. That's what Tableau does. It was born to aggregate, if you will. So it's aggregating everything in there, summing it all up. See the sum, but that's not really helpful for us. What we need to do is break it down. And so I'm going to get this. I'm going to take off this toggle check mark here. Now all of a sudden we got this. Forget about the nulls. Those were simply, if you go back to the database, those were just simply things where there's nothing in there, and there's a lot of them. Don't worry about it for the analysis here. So now I want to see if as this goes up, as GDP expenditures go up, does life expectancy go up? All right. Notice the tooltips here, and it's saying this, but I can't really tell what these individual circles, they're representing data points, which in our case is country. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this in. I'm going to put this in detail here. And notice by just simply putting it in detail, now on the tooltip, it tells us what these countries are. All right. So, but it seems like it, if we were going to draw a line here, it seems like there's a direct relationship broadly as health expenditures going up. For the most part, life expectancy is going up. And so let's just take a look here. This is a very poor country, or they spend a very, very little on health expenditures as part of their economy and gross domestic product. These are poor countries, really poor countries. Look at the life expectancy in these countries for males, and they're not spending a lot of money on. So there appears to be something here. So how do we make sense of this? There must be an easier way to just, instead of just like, look at us. And this is 2012 data at any rate. That's the highest the years go to. So what I want to do is use some embedded analytics within Tableau to help us to make our lives easier. And Tableau has this. So notice this right here. I'm on data. I'm going to go to analytics, and I'm going to actually do this thing called a trend line. And I'm just going to grab it, put it on the data, put it on the scatter plot, and this pops up. And all these different types of fancy things, starting to get into calculus here, and all that stuff. That's beyond the class. Let's just go with linear. Let's go linear. And it drew this what's called a trend line, and I show this trend line in step 3 of Tableau assignment 2, and it's showing this. Notice this is positive because the top of it is higher than the bottom of it right here. So it's showing that as health expenditures as a percent of GDP go up, the fact of the matter is, so does from the data. The latest is again 2012. So does life expectancy for male. It's a direct correlation, and that's all I need to know. Now I want to show you this, and I talked about significance in the assignment, and how do you find that out? You can just kind of hit it, and then I just hit it again. Watch this. I went, and now it shows me this fancy thing called, there's a couple R-squared, I'm not going to get into that one, but there's called this p-value, which is oftentimes used as statistical significance. And so it's good if you can get anything over 0.05. And with that, if you're, I'm sorry, less than 0.05. So this is way less. So anything at 0.05 is essentially saying, or anything lower than that is saying there's a less than a 1 in 20% chance, 1 in 20, that it's luck. So this is strong. This is very, very strong. So this is showing, yeah, I'm not talking about causation here, I'm just talking about correlation. It most likely is caused by it, but I don't want to get into that statistical argument with my statistician colleagues, but this is strong. So this is one. I'm going to call this, I'm going to go down here, I'm going to call this, I'm going to rename it, I'm going to call this direct correlation. I can spell it. Okay, and I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to start another one. So I'll just save it. I'll go through the process of saving it. I won't bore you with that, and I'll come back in a second. We're going to start another one. Okay, here we go. We're on step for the assignment. Now we're looking for what's called an inverse relationship, which is just the opposite of a direct. It's as one goes up, the other goes down, or vice versa. So let's just, again, I'm back here. I'm at the World Indicators data set. I haven't done anything different. I'm still connected to it from the direct correlation. See that? Here's the data source. I'm clicking that. There it is. It's all that. This, FYI, by the way, this thing right here, this is just showing the data. It's the same thing as doing this. You can view it any way you want. But here it is. That's the underlying data. Now let's see, what can I do? Let's see, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put country here in detail. There we go. And then I'm not going to do that. Sorry about that. Let me get out of that. I'll put that in a second. Get rid of this. This is Tableau. You just kind of mess with it. You have to have a vision, and you're going to have to mess with it. So let's go days to start a business. I'm going to put that on the x-axis, which is, again, that's columns. So days to start a business. So my hypothesis is the longer it takes to start a business, the longer number of days it starts the business, the lower the economy, because the more of a hassle it is, and the more it's not friendly, and that more that affects GDP. So let's just put that in there. Let's put gross domestic product, and I'm going to put that there. And I had this trend line in there before, but how to get that? That's from the previous one. Just kind of put it there. But how to get that again is I could take it off here. Notice you might get this, and let me go analytics. You might just get this. You might just go, get rid of it. And that's what will probably pop up. So if you get that, if it just pops up again, it's aggregating. And so first thing I want to do here is I want to go to analysis up here, and I want to untoggle this, if you will. And now I get all these data sets here, and these are countries, but it's hard to see that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to data, and I'm going to put country on detail. When I do that, it doesn't change the way this looks, but it gives me that on my tooltip that I can see that. Tooltip right here, I can see that it's Brazil. So let's go to this. So we got a whole bunch of stuff here, and again, don't worry about the nulls. Let's just see. Let's do the analysis again. Let's go to the analytics pane. This is data. Let's go to analytics, and I'm going to take this. I'm going to take trend line. Again, it gives me these options, these 5 options, but I'm going to select the simplest one, and it shows me this. And as I show and write up in the assignment, and I show this thing right here, and let's look at it. Notice how the far right of it, it's above the bottom of it, or the far left of it. That means a direct. This is just the opposite. The far left is above this, and it above the right side. So what it's showing is inverse. So as one goes up, the other goes down. So as GDP goes up, days to start a business actually go down, and vice versa. So that's interesting. Now I know if we could do per capita, but we'd have to get into some formulas for that, and that's beyond this. It shows the same thing. Trust me, I run an analysis. Per capita GDP. It's the same thing. It's a stronger, actually, but it shows the analysis to be the same. There's an inverse relationship here, and I'm hovering over this, and it shows me the p-value. Again, it's over, or it's less than 0.05. It's way less than 0.05. So this is strong. This is a strong, and I'm going to call this inverse relationship. Okay, so for both of these, to get it into Word, it's a simple enough process. You just go worksheet, copy, image. I can copy this, and I can bring up Word, and it's just all you do with that is simple enough. I'll show you. So I'm going to bring Word over here, and you just right-click it. There it is. Inverse correlation. Notice the tab. I named the tab, and that's what pops up here and shows it. So that's it. That should get you what you need to as far as video directions for homework Tableau assignment 2. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. you know my office hours, so I'm available. Good luck with this assignment. I think you'll find it interesting and useful as you continue with your analysis moving forward in business.